Hey guys, we're at Live Casino. I'm here with Tiffany, the VP of Comcast Marketing and Communications. I'm going to read off her bio because there's a lot of interesting things she has going on, and I want to make sure I don't miss one. So, Tiffany is a senior marketing communications leader with a passion for advancing and protecting high-profile brands. Her previous companies include Dell, Motorola, and Walmart. She's currently Associate Vice President of Digital and Social Communications at Comcast. In 2021, Tiffany was named to TikTok's inaugural Culture Drivers list for a campaign her team at Comcast created for the Tokyo Olympics. You know, like Tiffany has an MBA from the University of California, Irvine, and a dual bachelor's degree in communications and psychology from the University of Southern California. And in 2020, she relocated from Pasadena, California to Philadelphia, where we're at right now with her husband and 2 kids. So now she's ours.
Yes.
So thank you so
All
much,
yours.
Tiffany, for coming.
You made me sound so good.
No, because it's the truth. Like, I'm absolutely inspired by you. And she's so humble and so amazing and so sweet. And so I really kind of just want to start off this casual conversation about like how you got here and the journey.
It's a long journey.
You know?
It's a long journey. I was just talking to Aaliyah. It sounds so good when it's all in like 5 sentences, but honestly, it didn't look that way along the way. I would say there were so many connections that my mom made for me, who had like a beauty salon in Carson, California. And she was just like, hey, I'm doing this doctor's hair, and you should talk to her because she went to college. Like, that's how those conversations started, because my parents didn't go to college. You know, they didn't have a lot to offer me. I was just talking about how when I graduated from college, well, that was a whole journey to get into college. But when I graduated, my dad was like, yeah, I know somebody who works at the airport who can get you a job. Like, that's the journey, right? It's not like, oh, I got all these degrees and all the things. Like, things along the way happen that, like, you get introduced to the right person who's just like, I believe in you, and I'm going to help you apply for this college, or I'm going to help you meet this person. And it's a beautiful thing. But the journey started there, I think. Then just trying to like mimic people that I thought were really successful, honestly, Nicole. Like, I ended up like working at an agency making peanuts as one of my first jobs, and learning how marketing works and learning how social works at very, I'm older than a lot of people in this room, but like very early social and like, pay-per-click and all this kind of stuff, and learning about that and seeing that the people who were running the agency had an MBA, or, you know, they had worked here or done this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. And you just kind of mimic that until you find out who you are or what you want to do and what you like and what you don't like, which is right. What you do and you don't like is just as important as what you do and you like. And then from there, just like being open and being humble and speaking things into existence. We were talking about like not going up to people and saying, oh, I'm Tiffany, and like being quiet, but like, I really want to do this. Or I've been thinking about like, I want to get into high-tech marketing. And it just takes saying that to one person who's like, oh, I know somebody who works for Motorola and they have this career fair coming up and you should go. So just doing that as much as I can, as much as like, I know you said I'm humble and I'm sweet and all those things. And it took so much like stepping outside of myself, and I'm like naturally a very shy person, but like telling people what you want and what you are after so that somebody can help you get there is like one of the hardest things to do. But like when you get that connection, or that one person introduces you to the person who can do the thing for you and open that door, like it really, 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 really matters. And so, yeah, grad school, and then taking these jobs, taking jobs along the way, and meeting people and telling them what you want to do. Like, that's the journey for me, just talking and telling people what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be when I grow up. And just trying to be my best self and over-delivering every time. Like, you spoke on that. Over-delivering until somebody's like, oh, you know, Tiffany, I asked her to do this one thing and she did this amazing thing. Maybe we can ask her to do this other thing. And that just turns into more and more of people asking you to do more. And it's exhausting, but eventually I think you get to where you want to be, and then you can see the other side of like what's next for you on your own. So I think it's a little bit, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but like grow until you know. I don't know. Let's coin something today. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how I got where I am. to be honest.
And it's amazing because you're just talking about relationships.
Yeah.
You're talking about relationships and opportunities and being able to navigate that and being able to like trust. I know Will Toms is here. He said business is a game of
Will.
trust. Shout out Will. He was a previous up here, and that's how we met.
That's how we met.
That's literally how we met.
You were the
Will's
glue.
Talk. Yeah, and it all like just is so beautiful how it happens together. It's a combination of things.
Yeah.
It's a storm. And I know, where you're at now, it seems so far-fetched away for so many of us, but I want to kind of get into like the nitty-gritty of like what your day looks like.
Yeah.
In what you do.
Yeah, first of all, who knew that there's a Black woman running Comcast social accounts? I bet you didn't know. It's crazy. I was just saying how like the last 3 years, I bet Comcast has never seen so many Black people in their feed. But it is what it is, and it's a beautiful thing, and nobody's complaining. So day to day, that was the question. Yeah. So I would say day to day, running social for Comcast is really like understanding trends. So I show up to work, I'm looking at like what happened overnight. What's trending on all the platforms? What are people talking about? Is this the right day for me to post what I plan to post? And if it's not, like, how do I adjust to make sure I'm staying relevant and I'm not tone deaf? And how do I use my unique knowledge as a sister, as like whatever my background is, to like make sure I'm steering the company in the right direction and protecting, as you mentioned, protecting that brand. I have a social listening team, so they're going around looking at like the mentions of the brand. What are people saying about us? Do I need to go to somebody on the team and say, somebody's complaining about customer service. You need to address this today because it's messing up our reputation. And then just like doing long-term campaigns. What are some creators doing? Like, who are some creators out there that are doing amazing things that are aligned with who we want to be aligned with, and do they stand for things that we stand for and that we want to say, but maybe we can't say because we're a brand and we're conservative, but we can align ourselves with somebody who's saying those things and shine a light on them so that we are, we get that halo effect. So every day is a little bit different. We work with so many different teams across the company, but my goal is always to make sure, and you said this really well earlier, like I'm adding value. If I want to post something and I'm going to like an engineer, I'm like, hey, I'm seeing in the comments that people are like, they don't understand what the 10G network is. Can you help me explain to these folks? And I'm going to add value because maybe more people will buy internet from us. And maybe you can give me a little bit of budget to do that for you. And in return, I will amplify your work and I will report out to you what the findings were and what the data was so that we can support one another. So that's like an everyday negotiation for sure. But it's a fun job. It's crazy, but it's fun every day.
Oh my gosh, that was an amazing answer. Jeez. Let me sit up.
Both sit up.
Oh my gosh, so you're talking about analytics, you're talking about working with other creators and outside of the organization as well. So how does a creator work with Comcast? What does that look like? And I know you've probably seen like some of the most successful people work with your brand. What's the why there?
Of why we work with creators?
Yeah, why did you pick this specific creator to work with?
Most of the time, it's because they are saying something that we either can't say or that a creator can say better. And so, Comcast has been around for a really long time. They probably haven't changed as quickly as some other tech brands, but they want to be known as like a media and technology company because they bought NBC and they bought Universal Studios and like all these different brands. And they want to figure out like how to bring it all together and who is going to align with them, but they can't step outside themselves too much, right? You can't, like Comcast can't be Wendy's. If Comcast all of a sudden started being sassy, you'd be like, what's happening, right? So we have to like push a little bit more and push a little bit more every day. We can't step outside of ourselves too much because the stakeholders and the investors get a little antsy. But we have to align with creators who can help us do it and help show that it's okay. Like, hey, I'm working with Comcast and I'm beloved and I have an engaged audience. So what does your audience look like? If your audience looks like somebody we want to align with, then yes, we want that. If you're saying something that, again, we want to say, we will connect with you. And I think the best way to do that is just like reach out. again, like step outside of yourself and be like, let me send a DM real quick because I check them and my team checks them. Or if you tag Comcast and we're like, ooh, this artist, we did this campaign. This is real. We did a campaign for the Olympics, and it was like this beautiful Black girl. I told you, we're going to get them in. We're gonna push through. It's a beautiful Black girl who was featured in one of our commercials. And there was a creator who took a still shot of that commercial and was just like, this girl is so beautiful, I had to paint her. And she DM'd Comcast, was just like, I just want to show you this art I made. And I was like, we need to pay her and we need to make more art with her. Like, that's enough. And the brand's like, yes, you're doing things for us. She shared something without me asking, without the brand asking, but added value. And we're like, we want to add value to you. What else can you make? How can we pay you to create more so that your followers see us and our followers see you? So it's just really stepping outside of yourself, asking the question, not being afraid of rejection, and just like keep doing that till somebody says, you said this really well, or somebody's gonna say yes. Like, give more, and somebody's eventually gonna be like, what else can you do? What else are you capable of? Who else is following you? How engaged is your audience? And if those match up, then it's a fit. And if it's not, you're not asking the right brand. So just keep doing it until you find the right one.
I love that. Like, we literally were just talking about adding value and like thinking about how you can serve and then being rewarded for that. So that is in complete alignment with a lot. And so I want to, on the flip side of that, I want to ask, what do creators do that turn Comcast off? From like a standpoint of like, hey, we thought we wanted to work with you, but you did this thing, or you're in this arena and like now we don't want to work with you anymore.
I think you talked about overvaluing your art. And I know it's subjective, right? So I've worked with artists that have, millions, and I work with mostly artists, like creators and digital artists for at Comcast that handle. And sometimes musicians or poets and that stuff, but creators. And sometimes there's like an astronomical fee that they're asking for. And I'm like, okay, that's what's up. Good for you. But if I look through your engagement, you're like, not talking to the people who are talking to you, or, you kind of post and run away, like, that's not for us. Like, we want to make sure, it's not just about your follower count, but it's also like, how are you engaging with the people that are following you and not just posting and run away? So we don't really look at like how big your follower count is. We look at like, you can be a micro influencer with like 1,000 followers. But if you're aligned with our brand values and you're engaging with your audience and we feel like the right people are following you that we want to follow us, again, it's got to be like a mutual thing. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So when you're looking at engagement, what are exactly the analytics and the numbers that you're looking at?
Ooh, we're looking at like comments and shares, and we actually do look at like the demographics of your audience. So like if you're a creator and you can come out the gate with like, by the way, my and this is not required, but like, by the way, my audience is just data. Like they are typically people who do this, or they use this hashtag, or they are folks who also follow these other types of people. Like the more data, the better. And the more you know your audience, the better, because that makes it easier for brands to be like, oh yeah, that aligns with us, or that makes sense. But I think you asked like also what's off limits, like what turns us off. Mm-hmm. I would say like people who are inconsistent. I think you want to go on a creator's page and kind of figure out who they are. Like a lot of these people with big brands don't have time to be like, okay, let me figure out who this person is and what they're all about. They should be able to look at your page and be like, oh, they care about uplifting Black women, Black men, and giving them daily affirmations, right? Easy. I go to your page, I understand. I go to Will's page and I understand what he's all about. Like you should be able to go to your page and be like, oh, this is what matters to this person. This is their why. And have the brands make it easy to be like, oh, this is why this makes sense for us to connect with them or not. But if we got to go through and be like, oh, sometimes she posts about this and sometimes she posts about that and this seems conflicting, and then she stopped posting for 3 months, and it's just too all over the place, and brands can't, especially big brands, they want to be able to count on you and know what you're about, and that tomorrow you're not going to be like, all right, I'm taking a break from social media and I'm done, because they want to be able to like have these long-term relationships with you and understand who you are. So I would say that's a big turnoff, where you're just like, you can't figure out who you are, so the brands won't be able to figure out who you are, and it makes it too difficult for them to know why they should partner with you. Does that help?
Yeah, that really helps. So consistency, you guys.
Consistency.
Well, if you're not posting consistently, it sounds like that's a turnoff for brands. And then if what you're saying isn't consistent, it's not just about posting consistently, right? Yeah. It's about being in alignment with like your message and making that consistent. I think is super important.
Absolutely.
Which plays a part of like knowing who you are, which is super interesting.
If you don't know, we won't know. Don't make it hard. Don't make people think too hard.
In the marketing world, and I feel like we're just like in a recession right now. Yeah. I feel like we kind of are. We are. And so I feel like as a creator, I have a little bit of scarcity mode of like marketing's the first thing that gets cut.
Facts.
So what's happening? You know, current events, what's happening right now? What are you seeing? Are there cuts happening?
Yes.
And like, but is there money is still flowing, right? And then
somebody's getting it.
Right. So I just kind of wanted to expand on that a little bit and talk about it. Yeah,
I mean, I definitely see budgets getting tighter. And I think if you can't prove your value that you're bringing to the table, you're not going to keep getting that budget. Like for me, if I can't come to the table and say, I need this much money because last year when I had that much, I was able to deliver this. I got this many impressions. I raised favorability this much. And by the way, people like us more, or I got this much engagement. Like, nope, no thanks. Because they do care about marketing. Like they want to cut that the most, right? Because I'm not technically like a revenue generating department. So if I can't bring money in and the company's struggling, I'm going to be the first to get my budget cut. So I would say like coming with the data is like the most important thing I can do. Data is number one. And I was just saying to Nicole, like social media, unlike any other platform, we have more data than anybody else. Like we can bring it. Like we can go, all right, this many clicks, this many shares, this is our click-through rate, these are the people who are engaging with us. And not just like numbers data. If you could take a screenshot and show the qualitative data, like how people are speaking to you, is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? Any stories you can tell, it matters. Like, then you can't be like, well, if you take this away from me, this is what you're losing, right? If you take away my budget for a TV commercial, I can't really tell you what you're losing because I can't tell you how many people sat down and watched that commercial if they walked away and put popcorn in the microwave. I don't know. But I know if I post a video, I can tell you the view-through rate, right? So I think that's the most important thing. Like if you can show data, for me, for you as creators, like whatever you do, any data you can show, that will buy you so much more and show the value. And no one else can do that outside of social media. That's a platform that like you get more data than anybody else, for sure.
So I want to know who's like the Michael like Jordan of like data and like success at Comcast who just like hit it through the park. And it's just so memorable. You're like, you know what? This team did this. They delivered this. I would love to hear that story of like, where's the mark, you know? And like, I'm just like competitive in terms of like, okay, I'm going to produce the data. I'm going to produce my pitch deck. But like, I also want to know what the best is doing. And then try to see if I could, you know, level up to that.
Like who at my company in particular?
I would say like the creator side of it.
Oh, the creator.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There were a couple. I would say if we go, so the biggest, most this is most impressive at my company because not everybody understands social media, but big numbers are big numbers. So I think for the Olympics, the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics recently, we did a TikTok campaign where we did this challenge called #TeamOfTomorrow. And basically it was like, it was kind of rinky dink where we showed like Allison Felix going around a track, and it was like a head on a stick, right? It was like a drawn track, head on a stick going around. It was like how long Allison Felix took to run 200 meters. And then we asked people like, what can you do in the time that Allison Felix can run 200 meters? Okay. And so people duetted with Allison, and we just like signed up a bunch of creators and like, who wants to be a part of this? And we paid probably like 15 different creators to be a part of it. And there was a young lady, I can't remember her handle, but I'll try to get it to you. But she was in a wheelchair. That was her content. Like, she is all about like advocacy for people who have disabilities. And she was in a wheelchair and she's like, I want to do this challenge with you, Comcast. I'm like, let's go. She was like, I'm going to show you how fast that I can get out of my wheelchair and into my car and like pack it up. And like, I was like, let's go. Let's go. And so she is the reason, and she also did the photo shoot with me for TikTok. She is the reason why I won that award. And she wasn't even somebody that we were planning to work with. And she was just like, I want to do this. And we're like, okay, let's go. And then we were like retroactively paying her, because I don't like people to do anything for free. You know that, Will. I don't like anybody doing anything for free. And it was just one of those things where I was like, again, going above and beyond, doing something we didn't ask her to do. But she was just like, hey, tap, tap, I'm about to do this. Let me let you know. She was like she had one of the biggest, and like some of the biggest impressions, the most engagements and all the things. So she helped our brand without us asking her. So I would say that's the biggest thing. Like, that campaign got 10 billion with the B impressions. And she probably had, I don't know, something like 12 million of those. And then we ended up boosting her content. Like, we put money behind it because she was doing so amazing. And all the comments were like positive, and we're like, yes, we want more. We want more positivity. We want more of that. So we just kept pouring into it, and it ended up being an amazing campaign. But yeah, she's it. I want to say like her group is called like Roller Girls or something, but I'll have to find. I know her personal name, but I can't remember her handle. But just dope as hell.
That's awesome. And I feel like this is amazing because it leads to my last question. What is the most rewarding part about what you do?
I love using Comcast's budget, their platform, and their scale to shine a light on people who are doing amazing things already. Like, I love that. And thank you. It's real. Like, where else am I going to have free reign and this much money that doesn't come out of my personal wallet to just be like, all right, who's ready to work? You know what I mean? Like, who can we align with? Who's doing great work? And how do we shine a light on them instead of like, hey, do this thing for us and we'll tell you exactly what to say and exactly what to do. No, we go and we say, okay, we're doing this campaign. Are you an artist who aligns with who we are? Let me commission you for this art that you're about to make. And it is unique to us. Like, it doesn't exist anywhere else. Let me pay you for this work. And also let me put advertising dollars behind you so that more people see you. And then you can talk about and tell your friends and other creators, oh my gosh, I did this work with Comcast and it was great. And now I have 10 times more followers. Like, that's rewarding to me. And that's actually what I measure. Like, a lot of folks at Comcast, when they do other campaigns like this, they'll be like, okay, and as a result, we got this much more sales. Where, because I'm in the business of reputation, like, I don't have to sell internet or cable, right? I'm trying to boost reputation for the brand. And so afterward, if I can say this artist got 10 times as many followers, and now we have other people talking about how great we are, even if they say, and this is the storytelling I was saying, like, even if somebody in the comments is like, oh my God, I hate Comcast. They suck. Like, this, like, I'm not a fan, but you know what? This is kind of cool. I will take it. I will take that. And little by little, my goal is like to wear people down until they love us. And so that's rewarding, where I can get even a comment like that, but an artist who's just like, I'm glad I did that work with you. And now I'm getting more and more work. Like, one artist we worked with was like Monica Ohanonu. I don't know if you all know her, but she's an amazing, beautiful artist. And I don't want to take the credit for how much exposure she got with us, because I'm sure she was already well on her way. But I will say we did a campaign with her and we commissioned art, and we're like, do whatever makes sense for you. Here's what the campaign is about. Come back to us and give us a draft and then just run with it. and she did this beautiful piece of like emotions and happy, sad, and confused were like three women, right? And just like showed those emotions. Were like, yeah, that's it. And she was like, are you sure? Should I connect it to the brand? Should I say? I'm like, no. We just want you to show who you are, and we're gonna promote that. And then I remember once the campaign was over, she got a ton more followers. She had a bunch of engagement. And then I saw she had like a brand deal with like a couple of big brands after that, and was like designing sneakers and like was designing rugs and doing graphic design for a bunch of other companies. And like I said, I don't want to take credit, but I would love to say like I was a part of that journey when she was, you know what I mean, starting out. And if I can say like, I was engaged with her. Like we did a thing once upon a, and now she's too big for me and we can't afford her, but damn, that was amazing. And I love that journey that she's on. And that makes me feel so good. And now like every time I see her, I'm like, we worked with her. We worked with her at once upon a time. And that feels good. That feels good to me. I love that. Yeah.
It's so amazing to see people who actually care, like in positions of power. So I just want to like end this off by just saying like thank you, and
Thank
like
you.
I really do have like after this entire conversation such a beautiful perspective of Comcast and who they believe in, and just seeing you in this position, and seeing you, you know, she just recently like VP, you know what I mean? Of like
I'm trying.
this is so like what?
I'm trying, y'all.
Applause. Like you're doing incredible things. I just want to say thank you so much for your presence, and like keep doing you. Like this is super inspiring. I've learned a lot. I know the audience learned a lot. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Just raise your hand and I will pass the mic.